TNA Wrestling crossed the line again with their biggest show of the year. Bound for Glory was thrilling, enthralling, and controversial. And we'll get into all of that and more in the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. First off, a big congratulations to TNA for delivering an exceptional pay-per-view. Bound for Glory, one of the highest grossing attendances and the highest grossing figures for TNA in over a decade, although it really is no surprise if you've been watching TNA over the last few years. Their continuation of being over delivering for their fans certainly did the same again last night or this morning if you're here in the UK. Plus, do not forget to watch TNA weekly on the TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded. You can watch it on Ayozat TV over here in the UK as well. That is moving to Freeview soon. More information on that when it becomes available. You can also stream it on AXS TV in the States, and you can stream it on DAZN as well. Let's kick things off, shall we? Basically the Road or the Bound for Glory pre-show. Good, also sponsored by Blacksmith Apparel. Must shout out the team at Blacksmith Apparel. They do a great job. It's great to see them supporting TNA and sponsoring TNA on their biggest show of the year. I'm sure we'll see some more collaboration between Blacksmith Apparel and TNA as we go through the year with any luck. Anyway, we start the pay-per-view with elegance. Ash and Heather by Elegance starts the pay-per-view off with Xia Brookside and NXT's Brittany Reese in a fun little tag to open the show. Now, bearing in mind, Brittany Reese is very new to NXT. She's very new to TNA. She definitely looks impressive in this match. She pulled off some great moves. There was some real good, actually quite good chemistry between her and Xia, to be quite honest with you. Xia coming into this off the back of a lot of quite a long feud really with Ash and obviously more recently Heather Reckless or Heather by Elegance now as they go by. Xia definitely looking like the breakout of 2024. It's a toss up between her and Danny Luna for me, who would probably get the knockout breakout of the year if there was such a award. I would say Xia or Danny would probably win that. But this was, again, fun little bit at ringside, a fun little bit of action, shall we say, to kick off Bound for Glory. There was obviously some interference from the personal concierge as Heather got planted with the TKO. He put the foot on the rope. But as Brookside goes after him at ringside, that distraction did allow Heather by Reckless an opportunity to capitalize with the Spanish Fly, and then the ratified air from Ash by Elegance picks up the victory. And I think I did predict that one correct. I got quite a few wrong, I must admit, but I did predict that one correct in my predictions. Ash and Heather winning this match. It does seem as if that feud isn't over between the Elegances, shall we say, and Xia Brookside. Not sure if Brittany Reese or Bryony Reese will still be in there going forward, or whether Xia will look within TNA for some more assistance in this. But we will see. But Ash and Heather by Elegance looking very strong coming out of Bound for Glory. They've done a great Hall of Fame as well. Bob Ryder and Rhino into the Hall of Fame. That was a really nice video packages that they played. And yeah, I really loved it. Tommy Dreamer was there inducting Rhino into the Hall of Fame, which was really nice as well. We did have Eric Young induct Bob Ryder into the Hall of Fame, and that was a really nice little segment for the. I think he'd done it well actually, being on the kickoff show. I did agree with that. I do like that. Felt as if it was really nicely placed in between the first and the first of two matches, shall we say, on the show. And yeah, some really nice video packages. Both of these fully deserved. I think the one thing you'll say with TNA is when they do the Hall of Fame is there's never a controversial introduction or induction, shall we say, into the Hall of Fame. It's people in there that absolutely deserve to be in there. And congratulations to Bob Ryder and Rhino, who coincidentally I met last week over in Wales, which was a fun show as well, seeing him and Eric Young. But Rhino now a Hall of Famer. I wonder if if ever that was on his bucket list when he was a wrestler, but nevertheless, fully deserved for sure. Call your shot gauntlet. Intergender. Call your shot gauntlet. And I will have to say that I will pat myself on the back for this one. I did predict this. If you watched my show on Friday, you will know that I predicted Kazarian from coming at number one and to win the gauntlet. That's exactly what he did. I'm just going to run through the names that were in the gauntlet. Obviously, Kazarian was number one. Zachary Wentz come in at two. Jake Something was at three. Trey Miguel at four. Hammerstone at five. Rohit Raju made his return to TNA at six. Laredo Kid was seven as Hammerstone. Well, he actually didn't last very long before Hammerstone eliminates Laredo Kid, followed by Trey Miguel as well. Sammy Callahan was eight, and Hammerstone was then eliminated at that point. Sammy Callahan also spikes Raju, or Ragu, whatever you want to call it, with the Cactus Driver 97. John Schuyler was nine. Bhupinder Gujjar was 10. Trent seven, 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 seven. I think that's seven, but he come out at number 11. He returned to TNA after some time away. He was in there then. One of the most exciting prospects TNA have at number 12, and that was KC Navarro, half of first class, as we know. The other half of first class was going to come in at number 20, that being AJ Francis. But anyway, KC Navarro come in, and the first thing he did, which is probably not the right idea, was to make an enemy out of Sammy Callahan, which is probably is like using a cheese grater on your hand. You don't want to be doing that whatsoever. We just saw him a little while ago at the Hall of Fame, number 13 was Rhino, and he eliminated Rahu, he eliminated Skylar and Callahan. And then at 14 was the first woman in the match. Tasha Steeles has had another impressive year. And again, another shout out for if they did ever do a breakout knockout of the year. Tasha Steeles will be up there. And she also hits Casey Navarro with a cutter. And then at 15, the former Zaya Lee from WWE, Ling Yi, come out as Tasha Steeles was eliminated. Jason Hotch enters at 16. Wentz at then point blindsided Navarro with a drop kick to eliminate him. Leon Slater, breakout star of the year without a question for me. You're not going to get anyone else on the men's side. Was number 17, Jonathan Gresham, coming at 18. Li Ying Lee was eliminated at that point. Johnny Dango Curtis was 19. He had that Slater hit that incredible 450 style finisher on that. But then JDC picks up the pieces of that after Slater hits his 450 and then eliminates Leon Slater, unfortunately. Then Trent Seven took out JDC with a 7-star lariat. And of course, the final one, as we already knew, was going to be AJ Francis. Gresham actually was eliminated by AJ Francis, which was quite surprising on that big. It was a big boot on that, and then he did hit 7 with a down payment for the elimination as well. Hotch got eliminated. Zachary Wentz eliminated Jake Summit with a modified Death Valley driver. And Summit then get involved on the outside after that, allowing Zachary Wentz to be eliminated on that as well. And then Rhino gores Kazarian for AJ Francis eliminated Zachary Wentz just there. Rhino gores Kazarian. He eliminates JDC. And then AJ Francis delivers his own gore to Rhino. But as he tried to do that, Rhino turned it into an elimination and he eliminated AJ Francis, thank God. I didn't want, as much as I think AJ Francis has come along leaps and bounds, I didn't want him winning this. And then it was the final two, Rhino and Kazarian. And like I said, my prediction come true. Kazarian did indeed win this match. It was then turned into a pinfall submission match, and he did Kazarian threw the referee to one side, hit the low blow on Rhino to secure the victory, and thus getting a title opportunity at any point that any time he wishes, and at that point brings you to obviously he's main eventing. He's refereeing in the main event between Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth later on in the show. So he then has an opportunity to cash in. But that bit happened because I did predict that he would do that and then he would cash in his opportunity. We will wait and see. The X Division match between Mike Bailey and Vikingo kicked off Bound for the Glory. If there was ever a match to kick off Bound for Glory, you would want it to be Mike Bailey and if you wanted, there was a lot of potential main events in this, and this was one of them. But if you wanted a match to start your pay-per-view off, you just put these two in the ring. This was undoubtedly, and bearing in mind we've had X Division, we've had the Ultimate X, and I wax lyrical about that. We've had a lot of showcase matches. Leon Slater and Mike Bailey tore the house down a few weeks ago. This, in my opinion, is match of the year in TNA, potentially match of the year, full stop, in any promotion. Mike Bailey and Vikingo delivered an X Division showcase of their own. It was an incredible, incredible match between these two. I'm not sure of Vikingo's status, whether I don't know. Last time I saw him, he was in AEW. If he is on the market, TNA need to do everything in their power to get this guy signed up. This was, I mean, you want your high flying Vikingo delivers it. You've got Bailey who can high fly. He's also very technical and grounded wrestler. It just chemistry was off the chain between these two. It just absolutely worked with these two in the ring. I don't think I've seen, or I haven't seen a better X Division match this year than these two put on. There was a really nasty looking destroyer on the apron as well during this by Vikingo during this match. It was brilliant. There was lots of near falls. There was a few times where you thought the X Division Championship was going to change hands and go on to Vikingo. It didn't, and in the end, Mike Bailey hits the meteor rain to pick up the victory and retain the X Division Championship. It was a tremendous, tremendous match. I don't, again, for me, best X Division match of the year, best match of the year by far. I mean, there's a couple in this that could rival it, but we'll talk about later. But Mike Bailey retains the X Division match. And I did feel kind of a bit sorry for Spitfire and Rosemary and Wendy Cho, who was next to having to follow this match. It was unfollowable, really. And I know you've got to put everyone on the card. You obviously, it was a difficult one to say who could go next in that, who could really follow that. And they had an almighty job to follow this match. The crowd were electric through this, and the crowd were electric all night, to be honest with you. But to follow that, I mean, I can imagine Mike Bailey and Vikingo walking out the back and was just like, follow that, guys. See you later. Or Gelt in this case. And to be fair, they put on a great match. Spitfire, Rosemary and Wendy Cho. Wendy Cho did have an opportunity to become the first woman from NXT to hold a TNA championship in this match, although it didn't quite work out that way for them. I think I may have even had them down as winning the match. I'll have to go back and have a look. Spitfire, Rosemary and Wendy Cho put on a really fun tag match on this. Rosemary at one point did have, though, Danny Luna beat. I will say that she hit her with the spear, and maybe that was a mistake because I know they did. Or actually, at one point, Rosemary and Wendy Cho did spike Luna with a double DDT as Cho pulled Fret off the apron, preventing the tag. But at that point, as I said, when Rosemary hit the spear, she did have Danny Luna beat. And I think, to be quite honest with you, there was the mistake from Rosemary. She went for more punish. She went for more punishment at that point. Then Luna turns the tide, hitting a power bomb out of the corner. And at that point, Rosemary inadvertently struck Wendy Cho at that point. That led to a double German suplex. This time the tag was made. Jody Threat come in. And Spitfire then put Wendy Cho away with the pressure drop to retain the tag team titles. However, that wasn't the end of proceedings. Rosemary then turns on Wendy Cho. Now, seemingly maybe puts that partnership to bed, or are they starting a feud between the two? I don't know. But that match, was a fun tag. It was very good. It was great to see Rosemary and Wendy Cho together for that time. I think I did get that one wrong. I'm pretty sure I thought the titles were going to change hands like that. But Spitfire retained the gold. Danny Luna, tremendous job as well with Jody Fret there. But questions now over what happens next between Rosemary and Wendy Cho. Do they start a program together against each other? Or is that just the end and Rosemary goes on and faces somebody else? We'll wait and see. But, considering the circumstances of having to follow that X Division match, they've done a great, great job um, of, a great, great job in that tag match, to be fair. There may have been a few bits where you could have said, should that have been a bit later down the card? Could they have put the match that we're going to talk about next after? And they could have done, but I don't think it would have made much difference. I think, it was just a near impossible match to follow, but the girls did a fantastic job. And the Knockouts division just goes on being one of the strongest divisions in wrestling. So we'll see what happens with that in the future. But after that match, Gia Miller interviewed Frankie Kazarian, and he said he was going to raise the hand of the real TNA World Champion tonight. And that bodes into what I was saying, as I think he's going to cash in his shot and he'll be raising his own hand, perhaps at the end. We'll get into that and more next. Now, Josh Alexander was next. Now, conspicuous by their absence, the Northern Armory were unable to get here. So Sinner and Saint were unable to get to Bound for Glory, thus then it being a one-on-one match with Mr. Mayhem, Steve Macklin, and this was a hard-hitting, knockdown, drag-out affair. These two guys, are definitely in contention for the World Championship. I don't see how any of them can't be. Alexander is definitely, as I keep saying every week, pound for pound, probably one of the best wrestlers in the world, let alone in TNA. Macklin is also brilliant, and these two put on, like I said, a hard-hitting affair on this. And this one was, unfortunately, Josh Alexander's new attitude seemingly really, when this match was picking the pace and Macklin was just starting to get advantage, Alexander then hits a low blow and restrained Macklin again with the zip ties. And as the referee tries to untie Macklin, um, Macklin goes on the attack instead, and Josh Alexander is caught in the crosshairs, and all while Macklin's hands are actually still zip tied behind his back, and then Alexander hits a tombstone for a close three, and then secures the ankle lock. But actually, Macklin couldn't tap out to the ankle lock because his hands were tied behind his back. So a bit of a mistake there from Josh Alexander. However, he ended up passing out instead of tapping out, and Josh Alexander beats Steve Macklin. This is far from over from me. I don't think there's going to be, I don't think that's just that. Macklin may need some help. I mean, obviously, the Northern Armory will be back as well. But I can't see Alexander and Macklin finishing like that. I think there's going to be more to it than that. But a big win for Josh Alexander, and one wonders how much longer. I know that he had that big match with Nick Nemeth as well. The 60-minute Iron Man match, but he's got to be pushing and knocking on that door again. And Macklin, a valiant effort for sure for Steve Macklin in this. I do hope that he gets a little bit of revenge on him at some point during this match, because during the feud, because as I said, I don't think this is over. I think there's more to come from both, but Josh Alexander really should be knocking on that door again for another heavyweight title opportunity. Now, if you love your death matches, you will love this one. Monsters Ball was unleashed. PCO, Matt Cardona. Now, this has been going on ever since the marriage of Steph DeLander and PCO. Steph DeLander, unfortunately, needing neck surgery, will be out for some time. So she couldn't be there for this one, unfortunately. And this is where I said all along that I felt Steph DeLander was going to turn on PCO. I mean, maybe that was the case. Maybe that was the plan, but the injury to Steph DeLander forced maybe a change. I don't know. I could be totally wrong in this, but PCO, Matt Cardona for both the digital media and international heavyweight wrestling championships. PCO starts it the way PCO starts it, the most trash cans and everything else. Cardona then put him back first onto some steel steps. They were going through doors left, right, and center. It was crazy. At one point, PCO was diving through the ropes. Cardona caught him midair with a trash can. Cardona powerbombed PCO through another door. They were going through more doors than anything else. Multiple steel chairs as well that was on the door that Cardona powerbombed him through. He poured thumbtacks into PCO's mouth, but everything Cardona threw at him, PCO was coming back, coming back, and coming back. And at one point, Cardona did connect with radio silence. I thought it was over at that point, but he only got a 2 count. Then Cardona went low blow. Then he used a baseball bat wrapped in green barbed wire. But then the tide turned and PCO chokeslammed Cardona through a pile of thumbtacks and then hits the PCO salt to retain. It was a wild brawl death match, monsters ball, whatever you want to call it. It was crazy. It had everything that you needed and more. And PCO retains the Digital Media International Heavyweight Championship. I would like to think that's the end of that. I don't really. I like when the sort of when they bring out a gimmick match like a Monsters Ball or a cage or a ladders. I like to think that that's everything. That's that in terms of feud. I don't like it when they continue it on. But what could be next for PCO? I mean, he is still the digital media champion after all. Who's next in the firing line? We'll look at that match. I think there'll be a lot of people maybe distancing themselves from that championship rather than going for it after watching that match. But we will wait and see what happens next with PCO. Matt Cardona, obviously, still a free agent, I think. I don't know, TNA maybe should bring out the Benjamins and bring in Matt Cardona full time. Maybe they will. Maybe they have. We haven't heard, but maybe they may do that. I'd like to see that. I think Cardona is due a contract now. He's killed the Indies for the last few years. He's been brilliant on the Indies, and I think it's time for him to come back. And TNA could well be a great home for Matt Cardona. Another big match on the show. I mean, there was all big matches, but this was a real. I call this a real proving ground match for Mike Santana. Now, if he's had issues with the system, most notably Moose. Obviously, Moose laid him out this past week on Impact. Santana had obviously challenged him to a match at Bound for Glory. But yeah, this was a real proving ground match for Santana. Where could he get a big win over a former world champion in TNA? He was a world champion up until Nick Nemeth dethroned him earlier on in the year. And he knew Moose was going to have JDC, at ringside as well. And it was a really big match for me. It was a really big match for Mike Santana, and it was a real personal showdown as well. And Santana was going to die through the ropes quite early on in this, but JDC ended up taking the bullet for Moose in this match. And there's so much more. I mean, JDC sent him crashing into the steel steps a bit later on in this, and it was kind of going a lot of that way. That was the way that this match was going. JDC interfering a lot in this match, although Santana did soar off the top rope and take them both out. At one point in this match, he hits a big Death Valley driver, a 450 for a 2. Moose also at one point power bombed him on the hardest part of the ring apron. That looked nasty, but Santana did make it in the ring before 10. And again, JDC tried to attack Santana again with the steel chain, but he takes him out with spin the block, and then Moose hits the spear. You think that is all over, a 2.9-ish count, and Santana gets up from that. And then Santana turns the side and hits Moose with spin the block to pick up, in my opinion, the biggest single win in Santana's career. It's definitely at TNA. That really propels Santana up the chain into TNA. And again, we said about Josh Alexander perhaps looking at world championships. Well, Santana with that huge win could well be in line now for a shot at the champion. This was again a real good match between these two. Santana pulled out everything that he needed to do and more to pick up the victory in this. I've really enjoyed Santana's run in TNA. It has really kind of, I think, revitalized Santana. And where he was in AEW, we know that there was issues with him and Ortiz, his former tag partner, and they had the little blow off match, and then they never really done anything. They never capitalized on it. And their loss is ultimately TNA's game because I feel as if Santana's come into TNA with a point to prove. And goodness me, has he proved the point? And then some huge, huge win for Santana. And now we'll find out what is next for him. Will he go for the TNA Heavyweight Championship? I think he's in line. I think he's got as good a shout as anybody, to be quite honest with you. And Moose and the system, I'm not sure. They're going to have to do some regrouping or something else because it's not really working out for the system at the minute. And they seem to go through peaks and troughs. They have a good couple of weeks and then a bad couple of weeks. And right now, they're not having a very good couple of weeks, the system. We'll see what happens, though. But a huge victory for Mike Santana. And congratulations to him. Now, the first of our triple main event, the Knockouts Championship. Masha Slamovich, check out her interview on this podcast earlier on this week against Jordan Grace. For the not, she has been a juggernaut for she's juggernaut by name, juggernaut by nature. Can Masha Slamovich get the job done? She has had 2 or 3 attempts at Jordan Grace, all unsuccessfully. And now this is the chance for Masha Slamovich to dethrone the juggernaut and win it. And this was, I mean, I don't know. How can you describe this? This was just utterly brilliant from these two. They tore the absolute house down. What I've liked about all their matches is there's been similarities and there's been some similar sequences in the matches, but there's also been a lot of differences in every match, which is what I like because sometimes if you go in the ring with someone, it can be quite repetitive, quite same thing happens, same thing happens. Not on these three, not with these two. Sorry, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant match between Jordan Grace and Slamovich. I mean, there was shades of Jerry Lynn in that match with the Kryptonite Crunch from Jordan Grace. She was pulling out moves I haven't seen her pull out either at all or in some time. Slamovich with the burning hammer as well, and Jordan Grace bridges out before the 3 count. There was so much exciting stuff in this match. However, the snowplow off the top rope, followed up by a power driver. Masha Slamovich slays the juggernaut to become new Knockouts world champion. After an enthralling match, we now have it. Masha Slamovich gets the job done. See, what it is that she come on the show. That's it. For me, she had a show interview on Hitting the Turnbuckle a few days before this match, and she got the job done. But no, in all seriousness, Masha Slamovich, big time congratulations to you for pulling this one off. A huge win against the juggernaut who has been running roughshod everywhere, not just in TNA, but in NXT as well. And Masha Slamovich did say that she would take that knockout championship to NXT as well. So we'll see if that happens. But kudos to both of these women for delivering a tremendous, tremendous match. And what's next? I mean, they did embrace at the end of it, in the middle of that ring. They did embrace what is next for both of these women. Who knows? But what a knockouts championship match that was. And then we saw Ace Steel giving Joe Hendry a pep talk. I'm thinking it's Full Metal Mayhem time. No, sir. It is Nick Nemeth, Joe Hendry on next, which kind of threw me. I have to admit, that did throw me. I was not expecting Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth Kazarian as the referee to be second to last. I was very much going on the lines of Full Metal Mayhem would be next, and then they would get on and go with the Joe Hendry, Nick Nemeth as main event, but no, it didn't. Then come on next, Frankie Kazarian. Don't forget, won that Call Your Shot. He is the referee in this, and he was starting to insert his authority early in the early doors on this match. He was giving it the big one. He was the referee and he was playing on it. That's for sure. Earlier on in this match, though, early on in this match, shall I say, Joe Hendry did go for the standing ovation, but Nemeth countered into a sleeper. That was such a great counter, these two. It was such a great counter from Nick Nemeth. These two, I wasn't sure what to. I wasn't sure about the whole sort of would it work. I mean, to be honest, you could put you could put a broomstick in there with Nick Nemeth and he'll make it look good. But you still have to think, wow, is this going to work between these two? Because there's a contrast of styles for sure. But it worked. It really did work. Like I said, he countered it into a sleeper. Hendry then hit a pop-up power bomb for a two. He did secure the ankle lock on him as well, but Nick Nemeth made it to the bottom rope in this, and then he hits a real thudding fall away slam from the top rope. And Kazarian is about to call his shot at this point, and I'm telling you, at this point, I'm thinking I'm a genius. I knew everything. I knew exactly what he was going to do, but Joe Hendry stopped him. Nick Nemeth then catches Hendry with a famouser, but kicked out despite a fast count from Kazarian. There was definitely a fast count there. I thought he was going to lose at that point. Both men are down after a cutter from Joe Hendry on the apron. Once again, Kazarian goes to call his shot. JBL, John Layfield, stops Kazarian and hits a clothesline from hell. He delivers one to Joe Hendry. Ryan Nemeth hops the guardrail. Guess what? See you later. A big one on him as well. And now, unaware of this interference, Nick Nemeth hits the danger zone on Joe Hendry, but kicks out at two. Then Nemeth, and a little bit later on, Nemeth countered the standing ovation into a super kick, and then once again hits the danger zone to retain the TNA World Championship. I mean, wow. Siphon that, everybody. John Layfield clotheslining everyone but Nick Nemeth. He did clothesline his brother, clothesline Kazarian, clothesline Joe Hendry. I don't know. This has caused a bit of controversy online. There has been a few controversial comments and people saying that this should never have happened, and a lot more like that sort of bits and pieces. I don't know, about this. I'm a bit, I'm in two minds about it, but sometimes you look at it and sometimes the chase is better than the champion. And is Joe Hendry chasing better than Joe Hendry champion? Or is they just, people would say because it was the biggest event of the year, it should have gone on to Joe Hendry. But sometimes they're keeping you guessing. And I like that. I do like that. Do I think Joe Hendry should be world champion? Yes, I do. But do I like the fact that they're keeping us guessing and waiting? Yes, because the time of when it does happen is going to be amazing. But Kazarian still has the call your shot gauntlet as well. And could it be to really heat everybody up that he calls it when Joe Hendry does win the championship and knocks Joe Hendry straight off the perch? You heard it here first, folks, if it happens. Now, before we get to Full Metal Mayhem, TNA will present the first live event of 2025, Genesis, which will be held around the world on the 19th of January from the Curtis Culwell Center in Garland, Texas. And part of the fallout from Genesis will kick off a live episode of TNA Impact. On Thursday, the 23rd of January, will be a live Impact from the Boeing Center in San Antonio, Texas. Cannot wait for that. But now it is time for your Bound for Glory main event, Full Metal Mayhem, TLC. You can call it whatever you want. Bullet Club ABC, the champions. No, Bullet Club ABC, not the champions. The system, the champions. I got that wrong on the Impact. I got it right on the review. Then I got it wrong. Now I'm getting it wrong again. The system, the champions. Bullet Club ABC, Matt and Jeff Hardy the challengers. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, fair enough. You know, there was a controversy with Joe Hendry not going on last, perhaps understandable given the circumstances. This was, I'm lost for words now with TNA and their matches they put on because, you know, you look at Vikingo and Mike Bailey starting him off this pay-per-view and you finished off with this. I don't know what words can I do to give this match justice. Incredible main event, unbelievable. They were throwing people off ladders through tables. You name it, they were doing it. Chris Bay took Edwards off the ladder with an art of finesse, and Bay was hanging above the ring as Maya slammed him down off the huge spear. Shades of Edge and the Hardys, or Adam Copeland and the Hardys back in the day at TLC. And then Jeff Hardy soars off the top of the ladder with a swanton bomb to Myers through two tables. Alicia Edwards was getting involved, but Matt Hardy took her out of a twist of fate. They power bomb Eddie Edwards over the top rope through two tables, and then Matt and Jeff Hardy climb both ladders and pull the belts off. I did predict that Matt and Jeff Hardy would win this match, and they did. An incredible match. It is justification, in my opinion, from the Hardys because they have been for so long. It has been waiting for this moment for these two. They've had last couple of years. People have kind of wrote the Hardys off, and you know, they've come back with a vengeance in TNA. They've again a little bit like Santana. They come here, I think, with a point to prove, and the Hardys have proven their point once again, and are now TNA Tag Team Champions. Really big thanks to, well, really big congratulations, sorry, to Matt and Jeff Hardy. A really big thanks for TNA for putting this stuff on. But it brings me to this week, and we've still got TNA Impact will be back this week for the fallout for Bound for Glory this coming Thursday on the TNA Plus app. Get yourself your TNA Plus app. Get on that to watch this coming Thursday, the fallout from Bound for Glory. With a lot more will be spoken about from this. Who is next in line for championship matches? We will wait and see. Do not forget to follow us on the HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Instagram. I'm going to catch my breath after that pay-per-view. You guys, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.